The truth about coffee, no one talks about. Okay, real talk. You wake up, eyes half open. First thought, coffee. Before you check your phone, before you say good morning to anyone, before you even fully remember what day it is, your brain is already pulling you toward that mug, and you just do it every single day. But here's the thing, nobody actually sits you down and explains. Almost everything you think you know about coffee is either wrong, incomplete, or just missing the most important part. So let's fix that. 1. The big lie, coffee doesn't actually give you energy. I know, that feels wrong, but stay with me. Your brain has this molecule called adenosine. All day long, as you live your life and burn through fuel, adenosine builds up. The more it accumulates, the more it docks onto receptors in your brain and signals. Hey, we're tired, slow down, sleep. That's a normal, healthy process. Your body telling you it needs rest. What caffeine does is almost elegantly sneaky. It's shaped just enough like adenosine that it can slide into those same receptors and block them. Not displace the adenosine, it's still building up behind the scenes. But just jam the lock so the tired signal can't get through. You don't feel tired. You feel alert, capable, like you could draft a whole presentation or have a difficult conversation with your landlord, but the adenosine didn't go anywhere. It's piling up like unread emails. The moment the caffeine clears, every bit of that fatigue comes flooding back. That wall you hit at 3 p.m., that's not your body being dramatic. That's the bill arriving. 2. You're drinking it wrong. First thing in the morning is the worst time to have it. This one genuinely changes people when they find out. Your body already wakes you up. It does this through cortisol, a hormone that spikes naturally in the morning, especially between 8 and 9 a.m., and again around noon and 6 p.m. Cortisol is your body's built-in alertness system. It's why, if you let yourself wake up naturally without an alarm, you don't usually feel completely wrecked. When you drink coffee during a cortisol spike, 2 bad things happen. First, the caffeine barely works because you're already alert. Your body is already doing the job. Second, and this is the kicker, your body starts to say, okay, seems like caffeine is handling the morning shift. I'll make less cortisol. Over time, you build tolerance not just to caffeine itself, but to your own natural alertness chemistry. You've essentially outsourced your morning to a beverage. The sweet spot? Wait 90 minutes after waking. Let your cortisol do its thing. Then, when it starts to dip around 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., that's when the coffee actually lands. You'll feel the difference within a week of trying this. 3. The sleep robbery. It's wrecking your sleep and you don't even know it. Here's the cruel part. Caffeine has a half-life of roughly 5 to 7 hours. That means if you have a coffee at 3 p.m., by 9 p.m., about half of that caffeine is still circulating in your system. And it's not just keeping you from falling asleep. That part you might notice. It's destroying the quality of the sleep you do get. Research out of the University of Michigan showed that people who had caffeine even 6 hours before bed lost an average of 1 full hour of sleep. And here's what's wild. Most of them didn't notice. They fell asleep fine. They woke up at normal times. But the architecture of their sleep was different. The deep restorative stage, slow wave sleep, the kind that actually repairs your body and consolidates memory, was cut by up to 20%. So you feel fine, but you're running on degraded sleep. And then you wake up slightly more tired than you should be. So you have coffee, which slightly degrades tonight's sleep, which makes you slightly more tired tomorrow. This cycle can run for years without you ever connecting the dots. 4. The beans are a lie. You're not drinking beans. You're drinking a seed. This one's just a fun one. Coffee beans are not beans. They're the seeds of a fruit, the coffee cherry. It's a small red or yellow fruit that grows on a shrub, and the seed inside is what gets extracted, processed, dried, roasted, and eventually ground into your morning ritual. The fruit itself is sweet, a little floral, and edible. It actually tastes like a mild cross between hibiscus and watermelon. Most of the world throws away the cherry and keeps the seed. In some places, like Ethiopia and Yemen, the dried fruit pulp gets brewed into its own drink called kishir or kaskara, a tea that tastes nothing like coffee but contains some of the same compounds. So there's an entire part of the coffee plant that the industry literally discards that people in its countries of origin have been drinking for centuries. Coffee's complicated like that. 5. The part that's actually good. It's one of the most studied and genuinely healthy things you consume. Alright, don't let any of the above scare you off because here's where it gets genuinely encouraging. Coffee is one of the most researched dietary substances on the planet, and the findings are, honestly, pretty good news. Regular coffee coffee consumption is associated with a meaningfully lower risk of Parkinson's disease, type 2 diabetes, certain liver conditions including liver cancer, and even some forms of cognitive decline later in life. And before you think it's all about the caffeine, it's not. A lot of these benefits hold for decaf too. Coffee is loaded with polyphenols and antioxidants, and these compounds do real work in your gut and your bloodstream independent of the stimulant. Studies on gut microbiome composition show that regular coffee drinkers have measurably higher levels of anti-inflammatory bacteria. Some researchers now classify coffee's polyphenols as a prebiotic, which is a word that usually costs you $40 in supplement form at a pharmacy. The coffee isn't the enemy. The timing is. The quantity is. The sleep debt it quietly builds over years is. Fix those three things and the cup in your hand is genuinely one of the better things in your diet. 06. Decaf isn't what you think. Decaf still has caffeine, just less of it. If you switch to decaf thinking you'd cut out caffeine entirely, and this affects a lot of people with anxiety, pregnancy, or heart conditions, you didn't. Decaf typically contains between 2 and 15 milligrams of caffeine per cup. Compare that to a regular cup's 80 to 100 milligrams, and sure, it's dramatically less. But across 4 or 5 cups a day, you're looking at potentially 50 to 75 milligrams of caffeine you thought you'd eliminated. For most people, fine. For someone genuinely caffeine sensitive, that matters a lot. The decaffeination process itself also varies wildly. The Swiss water process uses no chemicals and removes about 99.9% of caffeine. Solvent-based methods are faster and cheaper and used by most commercial decaf. They're considered safe, but less thorough. If decaf is a health choice for you specifically, that distinction is worth knowing. 07. The dependency is real. Missing a day isn't just annoying. Your brain literally changed. Caffeine dependence is a clinically recognized condition. When you consume caffeine regularly, your brain actually grows more adenosine receptors to compensate for the ones being blocked. That's why regular drinkers need more caffeine over time to feel the same effect, and why skipping a day causes actual withdrawal symptoms: a headache behind the eyes, fatigue, irritability, sometimes nausea. These symptoms typically peak somewhere between 20 and 51 hours after your last dose and can last up to 9 days. None of this is meant to be alarming. Caffeine dependence is mild compared to almost any other substance with a physiological dependency. Breaking it is genuinely achievable, and most people come through the other side feeling surprisingly clear-headed after a couple weeks. But calling it a habit is underselling it. Your brain chemistry changed to accommodate it. That's worth knowing. So here's where you land with all this. Coffee is not the villain people make it out to be, and it's not the miracle some influencers sell it as. It's a chemically complex, genuinely beneficial, widely misused substance that most of us have an actual physiological dependency on. And we don't talk about any of that because the mug is just too comforting to scrutinize. Now you know. Drink it later. Drink it less at night. Drink it knowing what it's actually doing. That's it. That's the whole thing.